Here we are, everybody.
Hello.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda and bottles of water or whatever you like in the fridge. It is a lovely Monday evening, and we're sitting here today with two of the actresses, aka heroines, from the film series Heroineburgh. You know it if you watch the show. This is the third time Heroineburgh is making an appearance, but both of you are new to the show. So welcome. Thank you all for being here. We're really happy to see you there. Sorry, I didn't mean for that theme music to keep going there, but I just wanted to clap for you.
Thanks.
So, for anyone out there that isn't already familiar with Heroineburgh, I highly suggest checking out the other two episodes that we have recorded. You can go on the internet and check it all out at heroineburgh.com. But right now, we're here in the moment with both of these people sitting in front of me. So why don't the two of you introduce yourselves and your characters, and we'll start there.
Okay. In real life, my name is Serena. In social media, I'm Serra Tonin, and that's kind of what's connected with the Heroineburgh. I play the character Dr. Kimberly Chang. She is a mechanical engineer at Carnegie Mellon, and her superheroine character is, or persona rather, is Ex Machina.
Cool.
I'm Devon Ragsdale, and I do not play a heroine. I'm a villain,
Ooh.
actually.
She's very bad.
It's Ms. Mara. She's the mistress of hypnotism. She also has super strength. She's also known as Missy Thrall, if you can get the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And I know that, you've been involved in the series now for a bit. You are newer to the series, and I just heard from the director that you actually filmed yesterday.
We did.
So what was that experience like for you being on the set, filming in costume, all of those things? It's a whole lot to do. Do you have any background in acting?
I don't.
Okay.
Not at all. Not at all.
Did you do any acting at all prior to this thing?
Background acting, if that counts.
Okay, cool. So how did you get involved in this, and what was your first day like?
I got involved because a friend of mine tagged me in the director's post on Facebook, and I checked it out, and I thought, well, this seems like it'd be fun. I like to do whatever shenanigans and.
Sure. Do you have a background interest in comic books, action, those sorts of things?
Not in particular.
Okay.
I'm not unfamiliar with them. I do enjoy some comic book movies. I have read comic books. I grew up with them in the house because my brother always had them. So I think my favorite for a long time was X-Men.
Yeah. Awesome. And then so your first day on the set, you get your costume and you're doing all your acting, choreography. What was all of that like?
Firstly, it was very hot and sweaty.
Okay.
Yesterday was so hot.
The
here
opposite
in the
of this room.
Yes. It was interesting for me. The choreography was mostly, I think, the director. I'm not sure who else he might have worked that out with. But we kind of took it slow and did short little scenes. And so it was easy to figure out, what was going on. And he was receptive to my questions and feedback and stuff like that. So I think it was a good experience and it was fun. I even got a little bruise from it.
Yeah.
Tiny little, for my efforts, I have something to show off now. What did you do yesterday? I kicked some villain butt.
Hell yeah. I love it. That's super awesome. Now, Devon, what was I know you've already been in a few episodes now at this point, and you've been on the set a good bit, but what was your experience or your background with acting and transitioning into doing something like this? What was that like for you?
Well, for a long time, I've been doing sketch comedy mostly. I've done all kinds of acting and performing, but mostly comedy.
Yeah.
So this was it's definitely different. I've dressed up in costumes before and stuff, but it was a lot different to put on the costume and be like, now I don't know, to get in that idea of I'm putting on a costume and now I have power or something. It was fun to do something different like that and get to be a little, I don't know, it's a different kind of acting than just doing comedy. So
yeah, I bet.
Fun. Yeah. And it was also actually one of the reasons I submitted for this role is I had been in a comedy show where I wore they had a picture of Mesmera, the character, and I had worn a similar costume already for another show. So I was like, hey, I wore a shiny pink skin tight suit for this space show.
Yeah.
So I think I could do this. So yeah.
Awesome. With being a part of this series, there's a whole lot of things that are going on outside of just the series. You know, there's a comic book that has just come out showing that real quick. And before we get too deep into this conversation, I do want to shout out some of the things that Heroineburgh has going on, some of the dates, and feel free to chime in if either of you are going to be involved in any of these things. Most importantly, this weekend, Heroineburgh is going to be at HazardCon in Erie, PA. That's July 26th, 27th, and 28th. They'll be showing episodes 10 through 15 there, so there will be some of you there on the screen, and some upcoming clips from episode 16. Is episode 16 the episode that you're going to be in?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Super cool. So there will be some of you there. Are either you going to be attending HazardCon?
I won't be, no.
You won't be there in person, but another time.
Yeah.
Another time. Cool.
Spirit.
So yeah, the comic book is available now. We do want to shout that out there. And if you are going to be at HazardCon, they're going to be in the Artist Alley at booth 11, along with Marvin Wynn from The Edge, which is another local Pittsburgh comic that's super awesome. Oh, and Scintilla will also be there for 3 days. Shout outs to Alicia, who just happens to be on screen at the same time that we said
How
that.
serendipitous.
You know, there sometimes there are higher powers in the universe that just make things happen.
Indeed.
It's a good shot too.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Speaking of make things happen, I haven't mentioned what my powers are.
Okay. Yeah, let's we can dig back into that.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Kind of out
totally.
of order.
We have all time. We have all day.
As a director learned, I have a tendency to do things out of order.
That's okay.
But yeah, so the powers are powers of magnetism, kind of like Magneto, and also the ability to build and rebuild like technological stuff, like real quick.
How does that relate to you in your real life?
I have a magnetic personality.
Okay.
And I am rather MacGyver-y. I like to tinker with things, and I'm always adapting stuff. One of my jobs is I work with kids with special needs, and a lot of times I have to adapt the toys or materials or whatever to meet their where they are.
Okay.
And so that just kind of comes naturally. So
you're already kind of like
yeah.
a heroine in real life, right?
Well, thank you. I appreciate
No,
that.
that's some serious stuff doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It takes a very special person to be able to do that.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Anything else in your outside life that you do that maybe like on a creative side of things?
Not particularly. I do surround myself with a lot of creative people, though.
Okay.
Musically and artistically. My friends are like fantastically talented.
Nice. Before we started the conversation, you had mentioned that you like going to local music shows and things like that. That's super cool. Do you have any friends that play in bands from around the area
I do.
that I might know?
You might. I have a few friends that play in a bunch of different bands. One of my husband and one of our favorites is the legendary Hucklebucks.
Okay.
They do rockabilly.
Yeah.
My friend Ian Green is in a bunch of different things. One is Bingo Quixote. He's in that with his wife. He does drums. She does sax. He's also in Liberty Tubes with Andrew Lassell.
Okay. Not familiar with them. But there's a lot of people in the city.
You probably are familiar with him, though. He is also known as, or previously has been known as Andrew the Impaled.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see? I thought you might.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's probably some other ones in there that I'm forgetting right now.
That's super cool. And then, Devon, you mentioned that you have a background in sketch comedy and I guess that whole scene of Pittsburgh. Do you ever dive into the local music scene at all?
The music. Well, I'm actually new to Pittsburgh, so I don't.
Welcome.
I'm not really into any of the scenes yet.
Okay.
But
I wasn't aware. I'm sorry if you mentioned that earlier.
No, that's okay. I've wanted to find out what bands I should see, so I'll have to get some recommendations.
What kind of music do you like?
I like a lot of different things. I
Sure.
can kind of if it's live. I kind of can like anything as long as it's a good show, you know, like what I feel like what I listen to is different than what I might see live. Like I like a good show.
That makes sense. No, I'm the same way. There's a lot of artists that I may not necessarily sit down and listen to for just musical enjoyment, but they put on a great show and it's a completely different thing being there in person with it. So new to Pittsburgh, huh? How long have you been in the Pittsburgh area?
A little less than a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure getting to travel around with the Heroineburgh crew and filming in all these, you know, off the wall niche locations, you're getting to learn a good bit about the city.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like being, that's really cool for anybody bringing this back to people that might be new to Heroineburgh. You know, this is a series that takes place in Pittsburgh, and it's been quoted that Pittsburgh is almost another character in the series because of, you know, how much Pittsburgh things are used in the series. And what about you? What's your background? Where are you from?
Conversely, she's very new. I'm pretty much a Pittsburgher through and through. I've been here since the late 70s.
Nice.
And I live out near Monroeville. And yeah, so I come into town a lot because this is where things happen.
Yeah. Why not live a little closer? Or do you just have like a sweet pad out there?
Oh, no. It is far from a sweet pad, but my husband is, he prefers the suburbs.
Oh, okay. With your husband preferring the suburbs, I don't know why I'm assuming that he may find the... actually, this is really unfair of me because you mentioned that all the local music and stuff, but I'm just thinking about like your husband and you and being a part of this series and then like just somebody in the suburbs and being like, what is this weird thing that you're doing?
Oh, he's used to me doing weird things. I'm super social. He's probably, I would call an extroverted introvert, and I'm an extrovert extrovert. I'm all over the place. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't met yet.
Yeah. Well, here we are. I mean, we were in the same room talking to each other.
Yes, finally.
With microphones in front of a camera for the internet. Say hi to the internet.
Hello, internet.
So a few more things going on with Heroineburgh. There's a whole lot that's going on. I want to make sure I touch base on these things. So Heroineburgh, in addition to Hazard Con, is also going to be at Still City Con. That's in August, just a few weeks away, 9th, 10th, and 11th. They're going to be very specifically Booth and 11 Vendors Hall, again with Marvin from The Edge, and some of the actresses. Vendetta will be there, and you will be there as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
For Steel City Con.
Okay, so this is a good time to ask you this. It's a good transition question. So do you have any background in going to cons or pop culture events or anything like that?
Not particularly. I did go, through Heroineburgh, I have been to two. Steel City Con and Three Rivers Con. And prior to that, I helped man a friend's booth at one. Okay,
so you've done some of the cons already with Heroineburgh. Super, super cool. So what is that experience like, you know, meeting people, some fans, being in costume, taking pictures, the whole nine?
It was fun. One thing that really surprised me was twice I was approached by a little kid, like a real small one and like a medium one. And they were like, can I get a picture with you? And I was like, me? Okay, sure. And they were, I guess, you know, because of the costume, I looked like a superhero, and they thought that was really fun, and they were like super excited. And
yeah, it's super cool. I think that it's really cool for kids to be able to see like different representation at events like that and stuff that seems a little bit more relatable too, because, you know, a lot of times you either get like, you know, there's a bunch of like out of shape dudes dressed up like Batman. It's like, I don't know about that. But then like there's something that's like a little bit easier and more approachable to connect with. And that's fun.
There were a lot of families there, and I did get some other folks asked to have their picture taken with me. Some dudes dressed up as, you know, Batman or whatnot.
I'm sure you had Spider-Man and the Hulk and the whole nine. Yeah. I really, really enjoy going to conventions. I've never been much of a cosplay person, but I enjoy going, and I always like seeing all the detail that goes into a lot of the stuff that some of those people pull together. It's like, it almost seems like their entire life is just revolved around making this insanely awesome costume to wear for this event. And then they just love taking pictures with people and meeting people. It's great.
I have friends that are super into that and they cosplay a lot. I'm not sure exactly where the line is between cosplay and just getting dressed up in costume, because I've always loved Halloween. I've gone to a party like every year for the past like forever of my life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I like to do that. I guess it's probably has to do with like maybe authenticity. Cosplayers try to be more accurate, and I'm just sort of, well, this is close enough to what I'm trying to look like. Mm-hmm. But I think it's fun. So I do a lot of that.
So my assumption now is that with having all the Halloween and the dress up and things like that, the costume transition wasn't a big deal for you either. Mm-mm. I mean, Devon had already worn the pink shiny tight stuff and you've been dressing up forever. So you're just like, yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal. What about being in front of the camera for you? What was that transition like?
I still hate it.
Do you hate it right now?
Yes.
Don't remind
And I don't
her.
like the sound of my voice either.
Oh, no.
I think a lot of it is just a matter of getting used to these things.
Yeah, you're going to have to, I guess.
I've been filmed several times, and it's still always like kind of hard to look at myself. Sometimes I edit my own things that I'm doing, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to. Why do I sound like that? You know,
Sure.
I sound like some weird animal or something. Yeah, it's always hard.
Yeah. Well,
at least for
I don't
me.
know if that's comforting.
No, you get used to it.
I mean, you get used to it, but you still aren't. I'm not like excited about it.
Well, sure, you're not like, yeah, I can't wait to get in front of the camera.
Although I did like seeing myself in the costume, like actually moving around and fighting with people. That was more fun to watch than just a regular acting scene.
Yeah. And just to be fair, I think you're probably in a much healthier state mentally if you don't like hearing the sound of your voice versus liking to hear the sound of your voice.
Yeah.
I don't think you're probably better off on that. So Heroineburgh, we got villain, heroine, or villainess.
Villainess.
I apologize. Have the two of you met yet in the series? And are you aware of any potential meetings?
I suppose
Because you're
there's always
friendly right
potential.
now, but what's going to happen?
Frenemies. It's a thing.
She's under my command right now. That's
Okay.
why she seems so. I don't know of us meeting yet. I don't think, but I'll find you.
Only time will tell, I suppose. I'm sure your paths will have to cross eventually.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next episode that's going to be out is episode 16. That's going to be in October, so we do have some time until then. In the meantime, as we've mentioned, Heroineburgh Comics #1 is available. It's sold in some physical retail stores. Yes, you could go to an actual comic book shop like a good human being and give them your hard-earned American dollars and pick up one of these at New Dimension Comics at one of their 4 locations in the Waterfront, Pittsburgh Mills, Butler, or Cranberry. Phantom of the Attic in Oakland, Copacetic Comics in Polish Hill, Mustang Comics in Regent Square, which I'm not familiar with, and I'm going to have to check that out, and Walt's Hobby Shop downtown, and also Big Bang Comics in Swickley and Geekadrome in Brookline. That is a lot of places to get a comic book, and this will also, I've been told, it will be available for sale online at some point in time, but unless you don't live in Pittsburgh, just get off your tuchus and go to one of these awesome Pittsburgh shops and help them stay in business, help support local art, local business, and buy yourself a cool piece of Pittsburgh history. If nothing else, it's a cool little artifact to have. And if
Check
you're
me out right here.
and if you're into comics and you're into all this stuff, there's no reason not to check it out, especially if you live in Pittsburgh. Sheesh. And on top of that, let's say you're somebody out there. Maybe you don't have the funds to pick up a comic. Maybe you're like, gee, I wish Heroineburgh would be featured in a free paper. Good on you. Pittsburgh Current is going to be featuring a strip that's going to be debuting this week, actually, in the Pittsburgh Current Alt Weekly. It will appear in every issue in the comic section. Each story is going to be 6 issues long, and with it being a bi-weekly magazine, it's going to take some time to get a full story through, but the Current's free. Pick it up if you can find a copy. And the art is done by Benjamin Zeus Barnett. Did I pronounce that right? I think I did. Cool. So right now, they're in the middle of filming episode 16, which you were doing yesterday, and you got beat up and stuff like
Just
that.
a little bit.
Do you know if all of your parts are done for episode 16? You're going to be, so you're good to go. So
Yep,
the
as far
bruise
as
can
I know,
heal.
yes.
And you're going to be all right.
I didn't even know it was there until I was primping in front of the mirror. I said, hey, what is this? And it's actually not uncommon for me to have random like marks on me. I'm like, how did I do that? And I was like, oh, wait, I know where this one came from.
Uh-huh.
So.
Have you been injured on set yet?
I don't recall being injured. No, I don't think I've been injured yet, but I hope to one day earn. No.
It's on your acting bucket list.
I've been injured doing
Onset injury.
What about in your sketch comedy life?
Have I been injured?
Any spills, accidents?
I'm sure, but there's so many opportunities that I would have had to fall, or I'm sure there's ones. I can't remember any specific amazing one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll have to think back on that.
Fair enough. So now transitioning back into your journey from wherever you were into Pittsburgh, you mentioned you've been you're still kind of figuring out things in Pittsburgh. You don't know about local music. Have you like locked into the local comedy thing here? Have you found any of that stuff?
I've been starting to go to things. It always takes a little time. I don't know, when I move to a new city, at least it takes me a little time to kind of
Where did you move from?
Most recently I was in Austin, Texas. And then before that I lived in New York for a really long time.
Okay.
So yeah.
What's facilitating all of the bouncing? Just life?
I mean, Austin was just, I needed to leave New York.
Fair enough. So you went on the complete opposite side of the country.
I was born in Texas, so I'd been there, but I wasn't born in Austin. But
growing up in Texas, what was that like?
It's not like horses and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
I only lived there till I was about 13. But I grew up in Houston, which is a big city, so it's just muggy and
just another
hot.
city.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me because I was young, so I don't remember. Yeah.
When did you get into doing the comedy stuff?
My mom had a comedy theater when I was a kid in Houston.
No way.
In Houston. She opened a comedy theater when I was about 8.
Wow.
And I was super, super shy, but they were always trying to get me to sing karaoke or do stuff. And at some point, I managed to start getting up there. And then when I was about 12 or 13, I said I wanted to have my own sketch comedy troupe. So me and my friends got together and we would write sketches and do improv. And like, that was our favorite thing. We would just hang out doing freeze tag improv. We were really cool.
Nice. And then whenever you were in New York, did you take part in that?
Yeah, I started.
Scene? I think there's a lot of that up there, right?
Yeah, I was a teenager and I started taking classes at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade there, and all the different improv theaters there. I took classes and did sketch shows and just, yeah. And I ran a little theater in Times Square for a while there. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then at some point it was really, really expensive.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
And I figured, I should go somewhere where I can learn to drive. So
it is difficult to drive around here.
Oh my God. I hate driving.
If you can drive here, you can pretty much drive anywhere.
Probably. I've been on so many bridges that I wasn't supposed to be on.
But you're still here.
I'm still
You did all right.
Yeah.
Now we've discussed Ex Machina, and we discussed a little bit about your character.
All right.
But here you are again,
Yeah.
serendipity. Can we chat a little bit more about what you do
Mesmera?
that's so bad?
Mesmera?
Yes.
Well, she went to jail.
As villains often do.
Yes. And then the Black faction broke Mesmera and some other villains out, and we had a very glorious exit. I hypnotized some guards. And then
I was one of those guards.
Yeah. Well, you were
I got beat.
You got bead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I was still part of.
Yeah, we were together.
I was there when you escaped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then she kind of gets hired by this evil developer, Brick, who wants to. This is actually from the episode. Gardenia and Zinnia, they this developer, he's doing things without getting the right environmental. I can't think of the right word. He's doing bad things for the environment. And so Gardenia and Zinnia are warriors for that. And Mesmera has a battle with them. And she thinks she's won, but then Gardenia wraps her up in a vine, and I get to wriggle on the floor. I may have hurt myself a little bit when I fell. When I fell, wrapped in some fake vines. But yeah, and now she's trying to get back.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing her.
Yeah,
it's so cool looking at all of these pictures and seeing just all of the things and how much has happened in such a short period of time. And I've said that both other times that we've done Heroineburgh episodes, and I continue to be just really impressed at the level of productivity and just like the amount of fucks given that are put into this to like, we're going to keep filming these episodes that are like, they're full episodes. It's not little like 5-minute things. They're full episodes. And then like, you know what, we're going to make an MF and comic. I don't know why I'm trying to not swear, but I just didn't feel like it.
To swear?
Oh yeah, you could swear if you want to.
Yeah. Good to know.
Although, I mean, you're a heroine. I don't know if you should be swearing.
Heroines
Do heroines
are
swear?
multifaceted people.
I guess so. Yeah. Anyways, there's a comic, and now with the Pittsburgh Current thing and all these appearances at the cons and all these other things, it's really, really cool. Just, looking at this slideshow here of just all these clips from everything. That's a very, very good still image of you, by the way.
The bear hug.
Yeah. Do you, I know, so you've only been on set, one day, right? Yesterday was your first day filming. Yep. So I guess it would be a little bit more in your memory now to ask you if you have a favorite moment from filming yesterday. Any thing that really stood out for you?
No favorite moments in particular. Some of the behind the scenes bantering and being silly between takes. I like that kind of stuff. Building of camaraderie, getting to know each other. It's fun.
Yeah, it's such a as adults, we're all well past the threshold of being adults at this point. It's really, it can be complicated and awkward to meet new people, and it's such a unique environment to meet new people in. It's like it's pretty unlike anything else. It's a lot different than going to some weird dinner with a bunch of people or something like that. It's like we're all in these costumes and we're all getting ready to film something. It feels it's very foreign, but in like a really, really fun way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of immediately have to bond with each other. Like, hey, I'm going to choke you now. We've never met before, but I'm going to hug you from behind. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of the time, filming on a DIY independent schedule, you're trying to get things done quick and there's no time to really even get to know each other. It's just like, we're here, we got to be out of here. And like, the next however much time, we only have this much time to film here.
Yeah.
Do it.
No time to fuck around. Let's get to work.
Yeah.
So you got to sprinkle those moments in between.
Uh-huh. Do you have any favorite moments, Devon, from filming?
Yeah, it was a little, but I was thinking, we were talking earlier, Mesmera breaks, she wants to, because when she comes out of jail, her skills, she's stronger and her powers are stronger. So she wants to show that she can bend this metal pole.
Yeah.
But I can't actually bend a real metal pole. I'm going to admit that.
No, I think you could.
But so we had, it was, it was more like bending a straw or something. The thing we had. So it just, I never felt like it was the, like pretending to bend something.
Yeah.
And then, But so that's probably the hardest acting moment for me.
In your sketch comedy days, did you do any like prop things?
I mean, yeah, I've definitely had to.
I guess you would have to, right?
There's props involved, yeah. But usually, a lot of the stuff I do is usually like, let's lose as little as possible, so we don't have to carry it around everywhere. But yeah, definitely. I definitely remember in New York one time, having 2 rolling office chairs that I needed for a sketch and taking them on the subway. And trying to like balance myself with. I think I sat on one and like held the other one, and all these kids were making fun of me.
That seems like a really good New York moment. And here we are. Look who's on the screen.
Yeah, great. What face am I making there? It's bad. I'm so critical of myself all the time, like how I look and stuff, especially in photographs. So. You asked me before how comfortable I felt in front of the camera, and video camera I'm still intensely uncomfortable about. Still cameras, I still don't like a lot, but I'm friends with a lot of photographers, and just for fun, sometimes we do photo shoots. So that's helped me get a lot more comfortable. And people are under the impression that I like to have my picture taken because I put pictures on Facebook all the time. They're like, but you do this all the time. I'm like, and I decided to do it to kind of push myself outside of my comfort zone. So doing this is taking me another step further from that because I figured, what do I have to lose? I'm hanging out with my friends. I might get some cool pictures out of it. If not, I just won't post them online. Nobody will see them. It's easy, it's safe, and I've learned a lot about lighting and positioning and posing and all kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that you learn. Oh, you can learn. You don't have to, but if you're on the set of something that's filming and if you just utilize that time to watch what everybody's doing and how people are setting up things, I really like how things work behind the scenes. It's always so much fun seeing peeking behind the curtain, if you will. So it was really fun the day that I got to shoot with Heroineburgh on the episode, just because it was just fun seeing everybody in action, just like seeing the director taking charge and getting everything set up and meeting the other people. It was really cool. I was really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, that was my first shoot with the show. So that was fun.
Yeah. With, moving forward outside of Heroineburgh, do either of you see yourselves pursuing any other acting roles in anything?
Not in particular. I do on occasion audition with Nancy Mosser Casting. Usually it's the stuff they post that has like a higher dollar value of compensation. I'm like, well, that's enough for me to sort of push myself outside of my comfort zone. I'll try for that. So I'm not actively trying to be an actress or anything, but if something were to fall in my lap, sure, why not? Oh, and I did misspeak before. I have filmed one other time with my friend Paul Nanzik. He was doing a pilot for a series called Forever Young that he was trying to get together. It was about like I didn't star in it. I was just like a side person, but a female vampire, kind of like Buffy. She's done everything in the world that she's kind of bored with her life. She's conquered things.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, well, what have I not done? And she realized, I never went to high school. So it's set in in high school.
Okay.
She's learning about being a human and functioning in a college, or not college, a high school setting. And it's weird. And there's a lot of pitfalls and, room for comedy.
Yeah. What about you, Devon?
Yeah, I work right now. I've been doing, since I'm still kind of meeting people here and stuff, I've been working on, I do like character videos that I just do myself sometimes.
Like on YouTube?
On the YouTube,
On the YouTubes?
I have a character, Janet. She's a really terrible life coach. So she's, yeah.
Do you want to tell us your channel where we can?
Yeah, Do you want to put that out there?
My really weird videos.
Yeah,
I get
my favorite. People would like to see your weird videos.
My favorite thing is the comments where people they think she's a real life coach.
Oh no!
I hope to get more of those.
Sarcasm and nuance is lost on a large portion of the internet, unfortunately.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's Devspiration, like inspiration, but DEV-spiration.
Okay.
Or perspiration, whichever one.
Is this YouTube channel something that you've been running for a while?
I've had it for a little bit. It's not, I need to get more consistent with it. I'd like to have her to have more consistent videos, but yeah, I've had it for a little while.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now with Heroineburgh and this comic, some appearances in this comic. I know your character's in the comic. Is Ex Machina in the comic as well? I think so. I think Ex Machina's on the cover.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. I don't remember. A little more around halfway through here, she starts being featured. I'll give you a little teasers, but okay. Yeah. So Ex Machina stars in the second story, which is about halfway through. I'll give you some quick teasers here, but if you want to read about it, you're going to have to get your own. There's some mishaps in the lab. There's, villaining and fighting and machinery and stuff.
So, it's, being in a comic book something that you ever imagined happening in your lifetime?
I did not expect that. I mean, I'm just seeing it today for the first time. I've seen the comic book, so it was I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah. It's really exciting. It's like, oh, that's the costume.
You're in the first story, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's exciting. Yeah, that's me. Exactly me.
So you're all dressed up. You ready to cause some trouble?
Yes, absolutely.
What now? Okay, so in the mind of your character, what are you about to do right now? What do you think?
Hypnotize somebody.
What's in the bag? What do you keep in the bag?
What's in the bag?
What's in the bag?
Private things. Don't ask a lady what's in their bag. Right? Yeah, come on now.
That's true. Gee.
Do you think you're more evil or just sort of, I don't know, mischievous?
She's trying to prove herself because she's always been kind of a small person in the background she hangs out at she's kind of the band groupie she was and never got noticed by the people she wanted to get noticed by. And then she got these powers and was like, well, fuck you. Now I'm going to now I have the power. Now I'm going to show you what I can do. So she's very much trying to prove herself. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever
there she is proving herself.
Yeah. That's the hypnotizing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's
the scene that I was in, actually. That might be my hand holding a gun there on the far left. But I was not hypnotized. I got, as we've been saying, I was bead.
I was wondering what that meant. I was like, okay.
Buzzed. You got buzzed.
Yeah, I got buzzed.
You guys were not very effective guards if they all escaped.
Well, they didn't have superpowers.
Yeah.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah, and I don't have superpower, just, some miserable
You're underpaid.
living wage. Yeah.
Underpaid, undertrained, subpar tools and weapons to defend yourself against.
Never stood a chance.
Fair enough.
With Heroineburgh and telling people in your lives about it, or just people that you don't know, and promoting this, how do you go about approaching people and telling people hey, I'm a part of this thing, and people are like, oh, you're in a thing? What is it? It's a superhero heroine thing, and there's I'm sure a lot of people are like, no way. Are you serious? And then what has that response been like from people in your personal lives?
Well, people really like to hear that it's female superheroes. Yeah. Obviously, that was also at the Comic-Con when there would be little girls or younger girls who would be their moms were like, yeah, go check that one out, because that was
it's very empowering.
Yeah, female superheroes. And so I think, but I also like to mention that because I feel like this show often talks about things that are actually like gentrification and stuff like that in Pittsburgh, which is kind of
That's very topical. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, which I guess is what comics and comic books do a lot, is, show you what's going on.
I believe that the story that's in the Pittsburgh Current that's going to be available this week has something to do with busting down a sex trafficking ring or something.
Oh boy.
in that realm. So yeah, there's all sorts of, as the thing that I had mentioned earlier about Pittsburgh itself also being a character in the show, Ex Machina's character working, in technology and with CMU and all of those things. So it's super cool to see everything that's brought together and to see those places in the show. For anybody that hasn't watched it, this would probably be a good time to drop again. All the episodes are available on Heroineburgh.com, and you can watch a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and clips on the YouTube channel as well that you can check out after you visit your YouTube channel. You can stop by the Heroineburgh YouTube channel as well.
I like the wordplay of your YouTube channel name.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm big on wordplay. I like corny puns and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's good to know.
Oh, so to piggyback on her talking about like the female empowerment, I think I like that the people in the show are real people and we look like real people. We're not like, of course, I would love to look like, the typical superhero, hot superhero body, but, that's not real life. But in this, you don't have to be. It's very inclusive, people of all sorts of personalities, backgrounds, body types, and everything. And I think that's cool.
That kind of goes back on the statement that I made earlier about being at the conventions and being approachable and, looking like just a more normal person that's doing something bigger than themselves versus like rehashing the same classic ideas that, are fine. Like they're classics for a reason, right? But at the same time, it's like, why not make room for new characters and new types of characters and what can be represented as powerful or super, if you will. So that's one of the things I think is really great about Heroineburgh. And I love that, as it continues to go, it's becoming bigger and bigger and there's more characters getting introduced. And it's just like, whenever I first came across this some time ago, I was like, wow, this just seems like it seemed so big at the time, but now that's like so small compared to what it has become. And right. I'm just like, I'm wondering, what I'm going to be like, who I'm going to be sitting down talking to like a year from now. And after we keep doing this and like, what's going to be going on, like, is it going to be the Heroineburgh Blu-ray collector's edition release with like we're going to be promoting the action figure line or something. Who knows? That would be awesome.
Action figure would be good.
So that's another reason to attend those cons. Drop the dates one more time this weekend. Hazard Con in Erie, PA, July 26, 27, 28. And if you can't make that one, you got Steel City Con in Monroeville, August 9, 10, and 11. Monroeville's close to you.
It is.
So that's a short trip for you, huh?
Yep. It's right across it's right across from the mall. And I live about less than 10 minutes from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of my personal background and coming up in, we'll say, nerd culture, geek culture, pop culture is really centered around Monroeville Mall because that was my mall rat mall.
Oh, was it?
So I spent a lot of time in that mall.
Okay.
I worked at KB Toys for a while in Monroeville Mall.
That was my first job back in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
When were you there?
I worked there in those early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gone by 98 or something. But yeah.
Did you like working in a toy store?
Sure.
I enjoyed it. It was a bit of a bummer because I worked there after I had been a mall rat for so long. So it went from like hanging out at the mall to just going to the mall to work. But my friends were still hanging out at the mall. So they would just like come in the store and be like, yeah, see you later. And I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, putting away like those Marvel action figures, like when the ones that came with the comic books and stuff.
Yeah.
And then
much putting stuff back on the shelves after everyone tears through it, looking for their favorite comic book character or whatever it is. Yeah.
But I think that's why I like Steel City Con a lot, just because there's not a whole lot of pop culture in Monroeville Mall anymore unless you go to fucking Hot Topic or whatever. So it's cool to still be able to go out there and have the memories and be like surrounded by all this stuff. I mean, I was going to the Comic Cons when they were at the Expo Mart way back in the day, which I miss that building. It's a weird thing to have nostalgia for. I don't know why. I think like the first time I ever went to a comic book convention was in that building. So now every time I pass it, and it's like a UPMC building. I don't even know what it's. Some sort of hospital thing. Same building? No. The Monroeville Convention Center is a different building. Yeah. That's in an old. I think that was a furniture store or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Which is that it's way cooler now. That building's way cooler now. But the other buildings,
I think it's
a trade-off.
CVS thing.
Yeah, that's it. Exciting.
Super.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be maybe a character.
That's a good shot.
That's a really good shot.
Slow-mo walk.
I think that we had mentioned before that I got sidetracked talking about the cons and just getting into a nostalgia bubble. But Steel City Con, Hazard Con, if you want to get all the episodes on a flash drive, you'll be able to do that. If you want to meet some of the people involved with the series at those events, you'll be able to do that. And, keep in touch with everything that Heroineburgh is doing on social media, because they're across all of the social media platforms as well. So it's not hard to stay in the loop of everything that's going on, and there's a whole lot that's coming up. So this would be, the point in time in the conversation where we'd be wrapping up here in the past 10 minutes. I'm kind of asking about, typically what my guests are doing in terms of, their outside projects and things like that. But as we've discussed, there isn't a whole lot of outside projects that you're involved with, and that's totally fine. So let's take this into a different area.
Okay.
In your, personal lives, is there any big projects that maybe either of you are working on that I can maybe help you with?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, but not me. How about you?
You can help in what way?
What do you need help with?
I'm learning web design.
That's super exciting. Because, for the concept of the show here is it's really just connecting people in Pittsburgh with everything that's going on in arts and entertainment. And it's like a networking hub for things. So it's definitely for somebody that's in your position that is newer to the city. You could always just go in the back catalog and you could probably just click on an episode and find out about something. There's always bands and artists and comedians and all kinds of stuff and people like that are on the show. Yeah.
I'm definitely looking to find out about more comedy in the city,
or you two just need to link up and
we can
drag her out to some shows.
Yeah. I will Facebook friend you. If you are on Facebook.
I don't really use the Facebook much, but I'm on it. And I take weird pictures on Instagram.
I'm not really on Instagram, but that could be a way to be in touch with each other. And speaking of comedy, I do remember, I believe there is a local comedian named Ian Insect. I think he was in an episode of this. And I have friends at a place called Trundle Manor, and they often host comedy nights there. At least they have in the past. I'm not sure if it's still a current thing, but have you guys heard of Trundle Manor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're a local house of oddities for people that don't know. So you see taxidermy stuff, things in jars, cool turn of the century medical equipment, weird stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting. I'm always interested in people like you who aren't necessarily, as you said, not the most creative type, but you really do seem to have your hands into a lot of stuff that's going on. As soon as you're so it's Trundle Manor is one of those things. I mean, a lot of people know about it, but most people that know about it are other artists, or for lack of a better word, just other fucking weirdos in the city. And you don't really strike me as a weirdo.
I am.
But maybe you're a low key weirdo.
Inside.
Okay. That's cool.
I think sometimes the weirdest people I know are the people who look really normal.
True.
Because sometimes if you're trying too hard to look weird, you're not actually that weird.
Yeah. That's a fact. Those are facts.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about like conformity. Like, oh, we're not going to be in the mainstream. We're weird and different, but then they're all doing the same thing within their own little group.
We're all the same kind of weird.
We're all the same different. We're unique in our group, sort of. Not really, kind of.
Yeah, that's it's always like cracked me up, particularly being somebody that's so involved in music, and I've been involved in music for most of my life. Just all of the air quote fashion trends that people would never say are fashion trends within certain subgenres of music, like particularly like punk. Yeah. It's like, what, like you all just happen to look like that.
Yeah.
It takes so much effort to just happen to look like that.
Exactly. That's
and like you all don't care, really.
Right.
But that's
so different.
I feel like the average person going to a punk show probably puts more time into how they look to go to the show than any of the characters in Heroineburgh do to get dressed up for an episode.
I just gotta zip up.
Yeah. Punks are covered in zippers. There's like 10,000 zippers.
Zippers and studs and bracelets and collars.
The hair.
Yeah.
But
depending on what
product.
you're.
To be fair, you know, if that's who you are and that's your thing, more power to you.
Totally.
More power to you.
I love all the looks.
Yeah. My look changes a lot, actually.
Good.
Just in my normal life.
I was actually just going to ask you about like your look in your younger years.
Oh.
Were you
At the mall?
Did you have like a phase, you know? Like I had a bit of a goth thing in high school. Did you have any phases?
Particularly. I suppose I wore flannels a lot for a while.
Okay, that's
But no real phases. But yeah, so I'm friends with a lot of different people in a lot of different groups, and some of them are very distinct from one another. And so that I guess allows me to tap into like different parts of me, like something I wouldn't wear around this group of people. It's totally cool to wear. This group of
okay,
people.
a chameleon.
So, yeah, I'm totally a social chameleon.
Got it.
I hang out with like my Yinzer friends, my friends that are more into like being out in the country and in nature, and then the ones that are like, I don't know, the weird friends, the normal friends, and I don't know. You could see me in a cowboy hat. You could see me in like spiked 9-inch heels and a short skirt, or just jeans and a t-shirt, or whatever. My look is always kind of different, and I think it's fun.
That's awesome. Devon, you were, I'm guessing, judging by the trajectory of when you were telling me you moved around, so you were like in like your teenage years in New York City then?
Yeah.
So how did like that environment, did it have any effect on your look? Were you like New York, or did you just live in New York?
Well, I was a teenager, so it was definitely like, you know, ready to experiment. I remember one of the first things I did in New York was I went out to this teen punk show. And at that time, my favorite thing was the big pants with like the little tank top thing that the girls did. That was, I thought that was giant not brand name Jinkos, but the Jinko style. If anyone remembers the Jinkos.
When you mentioned it, I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's like one of my first memories of being in New York, is going to this teen punk show it was in like a synagogue in Brooklyn.
Cool.
And but the lights were really bright. I was like, this isn't cool, you know? And there were like adults chaperoning and stuff. I don't know. I'm just remembering that because of that outfit. Yes, that was one of my. But I think I wore a lot of black in New York, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I went through some different experiments. I wore red Converse for about a year with everything. Yeah, I don't know, not as super exciting with the fashion, probably.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an uncle who lives in New York. He actually he lives in Hell's Kitchen. He's lived there for the past 30 years.
I lived there for a while.
And he's like really like OG New York, like couldn't give a fuck less about anything that's going on now. Just like, normal enough dude, but just like walks around, looks like a just whatever, and like whatever. Just does not give a shit about like being New York, but that also just makes him way more New York than like anybody else up there.
Yeah. No, I mean, nobody gives a shit about what anyone's doing in New York.
Oh yeah, totally.
I was here and someone was wearing like a unicorn head and everyone was like, oh my God, look at them. They're wearing it, taking pictures in New Yoryork. If you were riding the subway in New York, no one would look at you.
Oh yeah.
Everyone would just go, okay. Like there's a guy. I mean, they wouldn't even acknowledge that you were dressed up as what,
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because New Yorkers are kind of not really into other people, like, or is it just so commonplace, or everyone's just kind of into their own thing?
It has to be a mixture.
It's partly because there is a lot of shit going on all the time.
Sometimes there's literally a lot of shit going on.
Unfortunately.
There's a lot going on around you, but there's also sometimes you don't want to get involved in things in New York too. Like you don't want to, you don't want to you don't want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
If there's a weird person, you don't want to maybe make eye contact with them because then you might end up having to get involved in something. And most New Yorkers don't want to get involved in anything.
Yeah, I think it was really bold of you to take those office chairs on the subway that you mentioned before. I couldn't imagine doing that.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of the day, so there weren't a lot of people, but I remember a bunch of high school kids.
It's
making fun of me.
It's a real unique situation to be in.
It was,
but it says a lot to your character that you were willing to do it because you had a job to get done.
Yeah,
and you got it done. Sometimes you got to go through some bullshit to get the cool things done.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible trial.
my last question regarding those chairs.
Yeah.
Once you finally got them to the venue,
mm-hmm.
did it somehow pay off at the end of the day? Were the chairs used in some way that made it worth the efforts?
They were used in the show. They were, yeah. They moved people around on the stage.
Okay, cool.
In the rolling chairs. We actually turned them into rolling toilets.
Oh, so that's a productive use.
Yeah,
that's very.
They
New
were,
York.
yeah. I think it was definitely worth it.
Okay,
good on you.
Hell yeah. So one more time, I want to shout out these dates before we completely pull the plug on this. Again, Heroineburgh, Hazard Con, Erie, PA, July 26, 27, 28, where they'll be showing episodes 10 through 15 in a screening room, plus upcoming clips from episode 16, which will be available a little later this year. You can catch them in the artist booth with Marvin from The Edge and Alicia, who has been on the show. She was on the show last time, aka Scintilla, will be there. Also, Heroineburgh will be at Still City Con in Monroeville, August 9, 10, 11. Booth N11 in the Vendors Hall, again with Marvin from The Edge. And
me.
As well as the actress who plays Vendetta, whose name I will admit I cannot pronounce, and I feel very, very bad about that. Mauricia? You
got it.
Sometimes you just got to try. You just got to try things. And that's kind of like, I just got to take a leap of faith and try to pronounce a name that I've never said before. And sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith and put on a costume and get in front of a camera and do something great, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to thank you both for being on the show. Again, Heroineburgh Comics #1. I usually don't have these many things to promote. There's just so much going on. But I think people get the idea. You can catch this at pretty much any comic book shop in the city that's worth its weight in salt. New Dimension Comics, Phantom of the Attic, Copacetic, Mustang, Walt's Hobby Shop, Big Bang, and Geekadrome. And yeah, and then also Heroineburgh starting this week, Pittsburgh Current. Oh, it's going to be almost impossible if you did not see Heroineburgh. I feel like at this point, like 3 months from now, like if you have no idea what Heroineburgh is, you have to be sleeping under a fucking rock because there's I feel like they're not leaving any stones like left to be turned over. Just where else can we go? What can we do? So this is really, really awesome. It was great sitting down with both of you to talk. And yeah, anything you want to throw out there before we wrap it?
Not really, but where does one procure a Current magazine or publication, whatever this is?
The Pittsburgh Current, it's a free biweekly publication that you can find around the city, much like some of the other publications.
Like the city paper?
So like that,
okay.
things like that. But the locations, I'm sure there's maybe a list on their website where you can find them. I would hope so.
Okay. Yeah, I've never stumbled across one
But you could
before.
I guess if anybody from the Pittsburgh Current happens to be listening to this from one content creator to another, I have a hard time finding your paper. I understand getting things printed is probably not cheap, so it's probably, limited areas of distribution, but maybe you might want to put your limited distribution into more trafficked areas so people can find them, because we want to read them. People want to read them. And it's a shame if there's a pile of things sitting somewhere and nobody gets to see them and they just end up in the trash.
Maybe we're just in the wrong places, Brian. Maybe the currents are in the right place.
Maybe.
We just have to find our way there.
Maybe. Only time will tell. So, I think I should do an outro, right?
Sure.
And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. One more time, shout outs to Heroineburgh and this comic and all these great stills from the show. We talked about where they're gonna be. You know where to find them. I'll be back again some other time this week, probably tomorrow with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the Beat 2019. Whoop, woo. Thank you for listening. And that's it. Goodbye, Internet.